So this video is going to be how to calculate the area of a parallelogram. As some of your classmates might tell you, it's very simple to find the area of a parallelogram because the formula is actually going to be the same as that for a rectangle. But we need to be careful about which measurements we use. Finding the area of a parallelogram involves knowing to, instead of using the length times the width, which we would normally do for a rectangle, to instead use the length times the height. The difference is that the width measures this side, from the bottom to the top along the right or left edge. If we're going to use the height though, we're going to measure the distance from the top parallel line to the bottom parallel line. That will allow us to find the area of a rectangle. But wait a minute, we're supposed to be finding the area of a parallelogram. Well, let's look and see how this works out. We can take a parallelogram and turn it into a rectangle very easily. If we were to cut the parallelogram along this edge, we could take the triangle that is formed and move it over to the right-hand side. If we take this triangle, it will fit exactly in this space. And if you want to double check this, draw a parallelogram, cut out one side, and try fitting it onto the other. And you'll discover that it creates for you a rectangle by chopping off one side and moving it to the other. So what that means is I now have a rectangle that fits right here. Well, the length never changed. The distance from this side over to this side is still the length. But again, you might be able to see now why we need to look at the height, or the distance from here to here, instead of this diagonal line. Now that I have the height, I can find the area of a parallelogram the same as I would finding the area of a rectangle. I can multiply the length times the height, and I will get the area in units squared. Okay, so let's try this out. Let's say we have a parallelogram where the length is 5 meters and the height is 4 meters. And we also have this other measurement over here that is 4.5 meters. Well, we know from what we've learned that the numbers that we need to use are the 5 meters as the length and the 4 meters as the height, not the 4.5. So 5 meters times 4 meters, 5 meters is our length, 4 meters is our width, will give us 20 meters square, or area square. This is how we would find the area of a parallelogram. Make sure you use the height, not the length of this funky diagonal side. Okay, so how would we find the area of a triangle? Well, we're actually going to use the exact same principle. This time, we're going to use one of the triangle sides, whichever one we have a measurement for. So let's assume this side is 5 meters. And again, we don't want to use any diagonal lines, so we need a line that is perpendicular, which we would usually call the height. If the height here is 4 meters, then we're going to find the area of this triangle by multiplying 5 by 4. And that will give us an area of 20, oops, I forgot my units, meters square. But wait a minute, that's not good. This is the area of a rectangle. I don't have a rectangle. I have a triangle. What I just found was the area of this rectangle. So somehow I have to get rid of all this space. Well, that's easy. Just like with a parallelogram, the area of a triangle can be done by finding the area of a rectangle and removing or moving some of the space. A neat fact about a triangle is that if I was to take those two pieces, those blue pieces, and rotate them around, they would actually fit perfectly here and here. So the area of my triangle is actually half of the rectangle I just found. No problem. I'll just divide by 2. So my area should be 10 meters square. Let's go over that again. If we want the area of a triangle, we need to first find the height and the length of one perpendicular side. So I'm going to find height times length. But that's going to give me the area of a rectangle. I need to cut that in half. So I'm going to divide by 2. Let's put some numbers on here. Let's say this is 3 meters and the height is 4 meters. I'm going to do 3 times 4 equals 12 and divide by 2, 6 meters square.